Hello to my fellow lecturers and friends. I will be presenting about my creative writing project presentation. And firstly, introduction. This is the cover of my short story. It is with a purpose, even though it's like empty, it is with a purpose because the airplane symbolizes that migration, meaning like it's not really migration, it's just the main character goes on an exchange program to find something new, find what she wanted. So the genre is realistic fiction, and theme of the story is the cycle of loneliness, which is very integral for the main character's purpose in the story. Mental health also, a sense of belonging, and the irony of friendship. So next, the summary of short story. Alia, a student, decides to do an exchange program abroad in hopes of finding a sense of belonging. Finding happiness at first, she felt that she was welcomed due to her interests. Later on, she felt the cycle happening again, her trauma and sadness. She then met with two students that treated her better than her own. At the end of the story, she became indecisive on whether to choose the happiness she had gotten there or the life she had before. To better understand, the last line is basically, would she rather choose her happiness with, like, she's happy with the Australian students, or she should spend time back in Malaysia with her Malaysian friends, even though there are like a lot of fights, there are mixed emotions during the bonding. So the plot is firstly exposition. Exposition is written in third POV, and it depicts past Alia, 16-year-old, and her childhood is very lonely. Her parents also come home late. Her parents are not neglectful. Alia is not a neglected child, but the fact that her parents always work late and her brother has his own friends, she ended up like really alone because she doesn't really have friends, and so that's why like the sense of belonging she desires. And also a library prefect, since at school because of her loneliness, she tends to go to the library a lot. So she does a lot of activities that includes books. Rising action. So present time, Alia, 20 years old. She's already passed the SPM and now she's in uni. She thought she could find, like, she graduated from school, she thought she could find happiness. Like, maybe the past is like not worth it, we can keep moving forward. But then the cycle of loneliness happens again, and she envies other people's friendship. And because of that, it influences her decision to go on an exchange program. To maybe it's not her, it's the environment that needs to change. Climax, meeting of new friends, realization that the cycle is happening again, unintentionally it will be happening again, and her loneliness turns into depression, injuring herself. And falling action, project season, met two Australian students, and Henry listening to Alia's problems, like her mental health, her loneliness, and then resolution, Henry and Jessica treated Alia better than her other friends. And the semester, Alia returned home, and that's where like her ambivalence, like in her future planning, would she rather return to Australia or stick to Malaysia like that? So the background creative process. I started with the creative process of the plot. Basically, Alia going on an exchange program to find a sense of belonging, like that. But then, while I was writing, there are like a few drafts and snippets that I have written in the past that was like suitable to put in the short story. So there are like the first one that is very evident is like really the exposition. I worked it during Form 5, just before the quarantine. And original plot was supposed to be like Little Woman. Once like Alia arrived in Australia exchange program, she met 3 other people. And so each of the 4 friends have their own sense of struggle. So like Alia with sense of belonging, dealing with loneliness. But with mental health since she takes like counseling. My Sarah, relationships, dating, and Sophia, who is trying to keep the friendship between all these four, including herself, together. So these stories are mainly from personal experience with loneliness, depression, and trauma. It's just basically like what I wanted, a desire to find a sense of belonging and human connection. Like it's just another word, a dream for me. So in word form. Next setting is the first scene is at school and home to show like her lifestyle is, and then after that vision university, whatever university you can imagine. That's when like she decided to okay, I want to go on an exchange program, and then the exchange program is Hobart, Tasmania, Australia, and the university is University of Tasmania. I chose Australia because I'm very familiar with it. I frequently go back to that Perth, Hobart, Manchester, Tasmania. So if I have to expand it, I can include a lot of areas. For example, like in the story, it should have been like in the project, the Alia and her two friends were supposed to like investigate like the subject 19th century literature. Like in Australia, there's a place called Port Arthur where it's very evident of like the penal colony, which is like people from England coming to Australia. So Tasmania is also one of the places where it has the penal colony. It's evident. So I thought I wanted to include it, but it went over the 15 pages, so I had to remove it. And then point of view, third person limited omniscient point of view, like I said, the first scene, and then first person point of view. Once she graduated from school and up to the ending, there is first person POV. And then the conflict, internal conflict, man versus self, which is very evident. Alia's loneliness and frequent solitude influence her to go on the exchange program. Alia's struggle in dealing with the quietness and mental health. And then the next, external conflict, man versus man. Alia's attempt to find a sense of belonging, which comes with challenges like acceptance and time. And Alia struggles to accept the circumstances of their broken friendship. It was supposed to show like Alia and Maisara, they were at the start they were supposed to be close, but then because of their busyness, because of the time management, and they each have their own friends, they didn't really get to connect, and because of that, it's broken friendship. And then these are the characters. The main character is Alia, just a lone wolf and pursuing literature, desire for a better life. But Sophia and myself also part of the exchange program. We met Bite at the airport before flight. She takes counseling course and wishing to help other people with mental health. Sophia, pursuing English, she has such a motherly attitude in the story, and she cares for the well-being of others. That's what her struggle in the story was supposed to be like. She's trying to keep everything together, but as the observer, she like feels helpless. And my Sarah deals with relationship and dating problems, supposed to be, but these are just mentioned in the story. The next characters are very evident because of the falling action. Jessica and Henry are Australian students. They both are childhood friends and often banter together. Alia met them during group project, and Jessica is the leader of the group, and Henry is he has like a caring and playful personality, and it's also implied with like Alia and Henry could have a romance like that. It starts with a friendship. So before I conclude the conclusion, I want to pitch my story to say that this story is for those who are lonely, those who are afraid, those who are trying to find a purpose, trying to find happiness. Even though we feels like we can feel a bit lost sometimes, we should have the courage to take the step forward. So in this case, like Alia tries to find a better circumstance, which is trying for the exchange program. And so because of that, we should follow the example like that. And I will end my presentation with a quote that I am satisfied with writing. So, did you know humans are lonely travelers, always craving something from passerbys and hawkers, trying to find whatever that seemed to fulfill the empty void, whether it is purpose, hobby, love, friendship. And when they got it, they expect to be happy and excited, celebrating. But instead it destroys them and fills them with disappointment and sadness. And that keeps on repeating all through their life. I pause, smiling slightly before continuing. And what lovely creatures humans are. Their emotions shine through their faces, glowing like a sunbeam. But then, just with that cycle, their faces turn void of any emotion and they are left wondering if they even matter at all in this world. This quote is basically depicting like, we try to find things, we try to find interest, like a sense of belonging, like earlier, but instead you get trauma, you get depression. So like, once or twice it's okay, but then when it keeps repeating all through your lives, the cycle, it drains you, and it really like, but it really depicts like the trauma lah. And I think it's very relatable for our generation, because like for our current generation, we experience COVID, we experience like solitude. So I think like because of solitude, we have like this sense of like disconnected. We want to connect with other people, to tell our problems, to tell everything to other people. But sometimes because of this, like after the quarantine or maybe the solitude, alienation of society, we don't know how to do it. And so because of that, the emotions shine to their faces like glowing sunbeam. Once they were happy, but then just with that cycle, their faces turn void of any emotion, and they are left wondering if they even matter at all in this world. So basically, that's like the current thought of them, like the common thought. People with depression, maybe anxiety, and loneliness. And so I want my book to be like very relatable to our current generation, because that is what I'm feeling right now. And so that is my presentation.